From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. And it is Wednesday, the 26th of July. And I know that this is one of those days where it's just a hump day and we're just getting ourselves through the week as we speak. So, it is what it is at the end of the day over here, firing off this tweet, letting the world know that we got a show going on as well, too, right now. So, getting that little part out the way. But I'm excited, man. I feel like we got ourselves a very fun show that we're gonna have today. We got some news for sure today. Some news, some snooze news. And pretty much let's go ahead and jump into it. Herbert signs monster contract that makes him the highest paid player in the NFL. Well, I told you guys this months ago that this was in the works. Once I had figured and seen the way that the Chargers were moving money around throughout the offseason, the first few weeks of the offseason, where they had to come up with solutions to keep Keenan Allen. They had to sign Keenan Allen to a bonus deal somewhat. And then they also did the same thing with Mike Williams as well, too. And then so they wouldn't have to trade or release Khalil Mack, they worked it out with him to where they turned his contract into the bonus that was signed as well, too. So all three of those guys are pretty much on 1-year contracts as we speak. Eckler got himself somewhat of a better situation, but it's not a deal that's satisfactory for him. But I think that they pushed enough parts around to where they were able to make this happen, because I told everybody that the Chargers' goal was to make Justin Herbert the highest paid quarterback in the league, to ensure to him that he is their guy and they see him as the QB of this franchise for the next decade or so. And they're trying to ensure that he's going to be a Charger for life. So when you do a deal like this, you're going to do other extensions. You're going to rework this contract because you know that this is a team-friendly player. And as long as they keep doing their part, he's going to be able to keep doing his part. And he's not going to ever make it about the money. I say this because this man never mentioned money one time, ever. He knew that his performance was going to get him paid. And he knew that he hired the right agent to do the right job. He didn't go about this to where he had to go get Twitter to get involved in it and the media to get involved in it. And then people using different superlatives to try to subvise things. He went ahead and he just went about his business the right way. And he went ahead and performed. And that's why he got paid. He didn't get paid because they're trying to figure out something with the salary cap and all that good stuff. They pretty much told all the other guys that we're not going to pay you guys until you show us that, until we can get ourselves to that end goal. The Chargers pretty much said, we're all in. And I know a lot of people aren't going to catch that now, but they are all in on winning a Super Bowl this year. They're not going to say it out loud because they don't want people laughing at them. But the Chargers team is in position to be one of the best teams in the NFL. And yes, the Chiefs are in their division, but the Chiefs are motivation at this point. And Staley knows that he got himself a second chance somewhat, because the owner, everybody looked at it, hey, you made the playoffs and we lost by a field goal. And we've progressed since you got here. We went from a team that was missed the playoffs by a game, Then we missed the playoffs because of a circumstance against the Raiders the year before. And then we made the playoffs. They could have been in the playoffs 3 years in a row. And when you're that close to making it to the playoffs with the guy who was going into his third year as your quarterback and he's been starting since week one, yeah, you have to go ahead and give it some time. Be patient with it. And giving it a 4-year run was the smartest idea they could do at this moment. And we all know that, Staley is dealing with the same things that the previous head coaches dealt with as well too. The Chargers are a team that really is the best 8-8 team that you could ever see, or the best 9-7 team, and they switch off wins and losses, all that good stuff. So now is the time to where we've put the team together that should be able to perform at the highest level. I haven't seen a Chargers team this good since I think what was year 05, 06, whenever they went for 14-2. That's what this Charger team reminds me of this year. And that's why I keep telling people, you got to take them on the over. You got to take the Super Bowl bet. You got to really go ahead and you got to bet on the Chargers this year. Last year, they were a little bit ahead of schedule. This year, they're right on time. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about Saquon Barkley getting his deal. Saquon Barkley signs tag for $11 million, has made his training camp debut. Will they get a deal done during the season? Well, I think that the writing's on the wall for them to get a deal done because Saquon did his part. I know that he got called personally by the general manager, owner, and they asked Saquon, why don't we go ahead and end the shenanigans real quick, and you just sign off on this. And if you perform the way that you've performed for us over these last 4 or 5 years that you've been on the roster and you've been our key player and you've been our end-all be-all, if you can go ahead and perform like that once again, we'll take care of you. Let us deal with your agent on the money end. But what we need you to do is, if you're all in on us actually moving forward and being the team that we dreamt to be last year when we made the playoffs, and then we said that we were building something here, we need you to come back and lead that situation because we don't trust our quarterback. We paid him, but we paid him because he's a good little company man, but he's not a leader of this offense. You're the leader of this offense, and we need you to come back. Now, I think Saquon is really coming back for his teammates. He's not coming back and for his coaches. He's not coming back for that front office. He's not coming back for the owner. He's not coming back for the general manager. He's coming back for his teammates. I can even go ahead and wipe the fans out of that situation as well, too, because as ugly as they acted with Saquon, it would have been better off if the Giants traded him, because I've never seen fans tell a player, just shut up and go play. Just shut up and go do this. Dude, he's the best player on your team. You don't agitate the guy to the point to where he says, you know what, I don't even want to be here no more. And it was very close to, I'm in Miami. Yeah, he was real close to being a Dolphin. So pretty much you guys have to understand that they are at a crossroads right now. And this is a big defining moment for Saquon Barkley. This is a big defining moment for Brian DeBall. This is a big moment for the Giants' future in whole, because if they can't get this right and keep Saquon around for at least the next 3 years or so, this team and success are going to be exactly what it was before Saquon got there. You know what I mean? I know that this team won 2 Super Bowls and everything like that in the past 15 years or so, or 16 years over the last few decades, but still, that was a long time ago. We're thinking about today. You know what I mean? It's not about what happened 12 years ago. And this team has really not been that good since winning that last Super Bowl. Let's just keep it real. And the Giants want to keep the consistency in a division that does have them in the driver's seat to be a dark horse to win the division, believe it or not. Because when we really put it together, when you say who has the defense that stands out to you right away, you would think Eagles, but it's really the Giants, because the Giants are traditionally a great defensive team. And when the Giants are playing great defense, everything else is pretty much easy for them to do. And if the Giants can get their defense going in the right direction, then this team is going to be in position to be one of the better teams in the NFC once again. So they need Saquon Barkley, the X factor, the key piece, the epicenter of the offense to be there week one, ready to roll. So this was a good move for Saquon to show that he's a team player. And it's not for the front office, it's for his team, it's for his coaches. It's all about winning at this point. And that's exactly what I see here with Saquon. He knows he's going to get his money. He just had to go ahead and put a little pressure on him to let him know that he's a little dissatisfied with the approach that has been taken on giving him his money. So let's go ahead and move forward from there. And we have some pretty good things going on this year because we have teams that are ready to be relevant again. You know what I mean? And one of those teams are the Detroit Lions. The Lions are the emotional favorites to win the NFC North. Can they actually achieve it, though? That's the question. Well, you know, when you look at skeptics, when you look at bettors, they're all chasing a team that they feel is that team to chase at the end of the day. They feel like this is the dark horse team in the NFC. They got everything keyed up. They got Jamar Gibbs, who's seen as a versatile running back out of Alabama, who should be something special because he drafted the guy 12th. Then you have one of the better receiver cores as well, too. Jameson's going to be out for the first 6 weeks because of the gambling situation. And then you got Amon St. Brown, the fantasy all-pro wide receiver, because that guy right there is another big reason why I won my fantasy league last year. I had to get Amon St. Brown. I got him like pretty much as a steal 6th round, you know, because pretty much people were trying to keep him as their best kept little secret because he was so good the year before at the second half of the season. But I understood that he was that good of a player. He was that you know, great of an asset. And you know, I saw another guy say, man, this guy won me my league, and he was one of the like top fantasy guys that I follow and everything like that. So pretty much I had to do it. But this year I know that he's probably not going to be around where I want him to be at. So I'm trying to find that Amon St. Brown replacement this year. You know what I mean? If I can't get him, because I still might be able to snatch him up. But I got a lot of options here at the wide receiver position that's just killing me right now on who to take. But all in all, Jared Goff led the Rams to the Super Bowl 5 years ago. And a lot of people have to understand the fact that he was the number one pick in the draft. And he's a guy that really does know how to manage teams to victories. It's that simple. And if he has the talent around him, he can be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, not just the NFC. And I know a lot of people say, Pop, you tripping, but I'm not. If you guys run his stats, look at his stats over his career, and if you looked at when the trade was made for him and Matt Stafford, the team that actually got the better player was the Lions. Because when you look at the numbers of both players over since Goff had gotten to the league, and since, you know, that point of where Goff got in the league and where Stafford was at when Goff got to the league, it was a regression every year for Stafford, while it was a progression every year for Goff. And Goff actually outgained him by about 500 yards the last 2 seasons before they were traded for each other. So there was a lot of stats that showed up that said that the trade was a win-win, because the Rams got a guy in Stafford who never had that much talent around him and that type of play caller in McVay around him. And pretty much what happened was that they were able to win the Super Bowl because they played the Super Bowl at their home, SoFi. And it was kind of going to be embarrassing if they would have lost to the Bengals, which they should have, because let's keep it real. They called 3 pass interferences that didn't need to be called at the end of that game, 5 yards out. And it showed that Matt Stafford is still Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's a guy that just can't get it done. And he was always a guy that froze at the goal line. Like that was the pretty much calling card of him and Matt Ryan's career, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Failing at the goal line consistently and when you need to win the game. So when it comes down to it, I understand why the Lions are the favorites this year. They were one of the most exciting teams when they finished the season last year. They were one of the more exciting teams when they finished the season the year before. They just can't put it together in the first 8 weeks. But this year, they have the unit to put it together in the first 8 weeks. But the thing about them is it's not offensive woes with them. It's about the defense stepping up and being at least a top 15 unit, because that's where they need them to be this year. They can't be one of the bottom of the barrel units this year at all. And they've been able to draft in the top 10 for the last decade or so. So it's about time to bring in guys that are going to be able to get stops. And as long as they can get guys to get stops like they did at the second half of the season, they should be in good shape to be that emotional favorite that wins the NFC North. If anybody wins the division this year, and it's just a beautiful sight to see, it would be the Lions winning the very wide open NFC North. Everybody talks about both South divisions being so open because, at the end of the day, you can't discount Houston. They got a brand new coach and they got a brand new quarterback. Then they got a brand new mentality. So you kind of can't just filter them out. And same thing goes with the Colts. But I think the Colts are a team that's about 2 or 3 years away. But when you look at the other South division, it's really tough to pick who's going to win that division. Even the Bucks, even though people are overlooking them, they still got an opportunity because this is a redemption. It seems like it's the redemption division now, because you have Derek Carr trying to show folks that he's not a choker. And you see Baker Mayfield showing that he's worth the price of admission. You know what I mean? And then you have Atlanta with Ritter, who's a guy who's seen as a speedy game manager. And then you have Bryce Young. But let me stick to where we're at. And this is with the Lions. And the Lions really do have what it takes to win this division, because when you look at Minnesota, they probably have the best roster out of everybody. And Minnesota ran away with the division last year. So they are the perennial favorites coming in. I don't care what anybody says, because all in all, they probably do have the best. They have the best stacked quarterback in a sense, but the best quarterback to me is Goff. You know what I mean? But you got the Bears who have the most athletic quarterback. So there's a lot of things that you say, okay, it's going to be some pretty good games on Sunday when the North plays each other. But when you look at who really can show up and have a big difference, it's these guys, the Lions. So that emotional favorites is probably going to become to the forefront to where they become the favorite. So we'll have more to talk about as NFL Bet Exchange starts next week, and we're going to go from division to division. So once I get Jeff in here, we'll be able to talk a little bit more inclusive about all these teams individually. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to some college. And we have ourselves is Clemson. Is Clemson's time of being the ACC kingpin ended, or are they still the top team in the conference? Well, we did talk about it, and I said that Florida State seems to be back, and it seems like Clemson might be on the tailspin in a sense. You got a very, very, dictator type coach there, and you have a guy that kind of ran off a lot of the top players, because now we have the NIL and guys at Clemson who used to sit and wait till their fifth, sixth year. They're not sitting and waiting for their fifth, sixth year anymore. If they didn't get if Dabo Swinney did not follow up on his promise, they're leaving. It's that simple. It doesn't matter what this school has done over the last decade. They don't care. Guys want to get their playing time. It's that simple. And Clemson is very vulnerable at this moment, because they lost a guy who was supposed to be a Heisman hopeful at quarterback in DJ. DJ is now at Oregon State. They also lost some pretty good guys on the defensive side as well, too, transferred out because they can't stand the coach. And the writing's kind of on the wall that this team was kind of ran like a cult in a sense. And so pretty much he had guys that worshiped him because he could get them to worship him like that. But when you have this new NIL system and structure and things like that, these players have choices and they're not falling for the old ball coach being the super disciplinarian and this is just about winning football games and everything like that. They understand what a dictator is and they understand who somebody is who's demanding things of them, but they're not doing the same thing. So pretty much you got Clemson at a crossroads right now. This season right here is going to make or break their future in a sense. I know that Dabo Swinney probably said that he would be at Clemson for life, but let's keep it real. If this season doesn't go the way that they would want this season to go, Dabo Swinney could be going to the highest bidder. And I know nobody's talking like that yet, but just think about it. You got Oklahoma headed to the SEC. You got Texas headed to the SEC. And they want to put a big name coach there. And then you got Texas A&M, who should be in a situation where Jimbo Fisher is on the hot seat. It's a make or break season. Get us 9 wins or you're gone type season. And I would say this: if say somebody like Texas A&M winds up losing their coach, Jimbo Fisher, I could easily see Dabo Swinney taking over a school like Texas A&M. I could see him taking over Oklahoma as well too, because these schools you can go still recruit, you can use that NIL money as well too, and you can really sell a great tradition of football. Clemson, you're selling a great decade of football. You're not selling a great tradition of football. So it worked for a bit, but now teams have caught up and you have to go to a different mentality about it. So pretty much Clemson right now is in a very, very peculiar state. And they look like a team that could still be a dominant factor in the ACC, but they also look like a team that could be in the middle of the pack of a resurgent ACC, because you got Carolina with May, who's a hell of a player, Drake May. Then you have Florida State, who I have as the best team in the conference this year. You got Miami trying to return back to being a relevant team again. And then you got other squads that can sneak in there like Virginia. And you got Duke played pretty good football last season as well too at points. And they have a lot of guys coming back from last year. So they could be a team that kind of puts a little bit of a wrinkle into things as well too. And you always have Pitt and you always have Syracuse as well too. Boston College, the old East Coast gang, the old Eastern Northeast guys. Those guys are factors as well too. Even though, they're probably not set up to be great teams this year, but at the same time, though, they're always a tough out when you have to go play there. You know what I mean? So pretty much the ACC is not going to be the old ACC where it was Clemson and the 11 dwarves or the 13 dwarves, however many teams are in that conference. But it used to be Florida State and the 7 little dwarves, because they used to have 8 teams in the conference. So pretty much or 10 teams, but that's what we used to call it, the Florida State and the 9 little dwarves or the 7 little dwarves. It was just so funny. So pretty much now ACC looks like it's back to being an elite conference. They didn't spend all that money to bring in all that expansion to be the 4th best conference in the nation when it comes to college football. They want to be right there side by side with the SEC, which they pretty much were in the heyday for Clemson. So right now, you just can see that it's a possible changing of the guard again, but really it's just handing back the ACC to its rightful owner, the Florida State Seminoles. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when I get back, it's time to talk baseball. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and I'll be right back at you.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. So let's pretty much get into that Blue Crew Daily, and we got the Blue Crew Daily, and Blue Crew Daily looks a little something like this. Dodgers look to win series in grudge match versus Blue Jays in a very critical game as they get more cushion to their NL West lead. And yes, the Dodgers are down 2-0 right now as well, too, from what I'm seeing here in the top of the fourth inning. So that game is kind of cooking a little bit right now. Diamondbacks down 3-2. That's good news for the Dodgers. Zach Gallen is having himself a game today. He's struck out 7 already, so he's on his way to possibly having himself a double-digit strikeout game today. And I know a lot of people are probably banking in on that as well, too. And then we do have the Pirates as well, too, who are up 2-1 at this moment. And then we'll go over final scores in a moment. But let's go ahead and talk about the Dodgers real quick. The Dodgers had a very good come-from-behind victory last night. As you can see, though, they're having a little bit of issues with the matchup with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are a really good hitting team, and they got some good pitching as well, too. And I've told people that the Blue Jays are in store for one big run. They're putting it together at this point. A lot of people have to understand that part about the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays they're like, it's our turn to make our big run to the top of the East, because let's keep it real. The Rays are tumbling daily, and Boston's ascending. They're making headway. The Yankees are kind of stuck at this moment right now. End all be all is Aaron Judge. If they can get Aaron Judge back, then possibly they'll be back on their grind. But all in all, though, when you look at the situation, you say to yourself that this should be the defining moment for the Dodgers, knowing exactly what they need to fix with this team. You know, it was great bringing back Kike Hernandez on the trade. It's funny because Kike came back and was already his good old goofy self. But the funniest thing about it, though, Kiki's not in that dugout anymore with any of the Dodger vets that were with him before. Taylor's still there. You know what I mean? You got Julio Urias who's still there. Will Smith was pretty young by the time that they had Kike there. You know, Kershaw's still there as well, too. But really, at the end of the day, a lot of these guys that they're just getting to know Kike. And so now you bring in Kike as this, this goofball, the class clown. The Dodgers will probably be a lot more looser. And I know that's why they made the move. So that's going to be pretty something that excites all of us at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But all in all, the Dodgers do need to try to win this game today. It's not like a dire situation for them to win, but it's better for them to win this game today because the Dodgers got to keep themselves ahead of the pack. You know what I mean? You don't want to give either one of those teams the idea that they can be in this thing. You know what I mean? You want them to understand that, you had your opportunity to take over this division and you did not. So the Dodgers really do need to put the hammer down. And, this is just a special unit. It's not about, being having the best record in baseball this year. It's about winning games and winning games the right way. And you know what? There's a lot of sacrifice that the Dodgers have been doing lately, but all in all, it's been something that's been helpful for the Dodgers. They didn't give up on, Vargas. They just had to figure out how to get the best lineup out there. And Vargas wasn't a part of that equation at this moment. So they've done that. They bring back Kike, who's a great utility guy. So he doesn't have to start every single day. He can come into a game if need be. And that is something that is going to push this team into the right direction. And I think that the Dodgers are really on to something here. And this whole week is all about who's going and who's coming, and so fans have to get ready to part ways with some of their favorite players this week, or guys that they had a lot of high hopes for, because this is the week where the Dodgers can define the rest of their season. And I think that they're not done trading yet. Lance Lynn is still somebody that they're very intrigued with. They also are looking at Jordan Montgomery as well, too. And they're also, trying to visit that Ariando situation as well. So there's a lot of there's a lot of options on the table for the Dodgers. Are they going to make all these deals that are going to be conducive to the future? You know what I mean? Are you going to make the deals that are going to make sure your future is still intact? That's the biggest question. But all in all, we'll have more to talk about tomorrow as soon as the Dodgers finish this game. And, we got an off day tomorrow, so we can talk a lot about the next moves and go into the weekend series as well, too, which the Dodgers host the Reds. So let's go ahead and move forward and jump into our next topic, and that's going to be the MLB tonight. In MLB tonight, we have ourselves, I don't know why I ain't here, but, we got Mets and Yankees, but let me go ahead and run some scores real quick. Right now, we have 5 games that have finished up already. And from what I'm seeing here, we have ourselves we have up first the Rockies and the Nationals. The Rockies wind up losing today 5-4. Then the Marlins go ahead and get themselves a good win as a dog today, even though they had some issues yesterday. They didn't cash out that ticket we needed them to, but it's okay. The Marlins wind up winning today 7-1. That was very needed for them. We have the Guardians who won 8-3 over the Royals, and then we also had the Mariners and Twins have themselves a shootout somewhat today, and the Mariners won that game 8-7. And then the Brewers wind up shutting out the Reds, and the Reds beating the Reds 2 out of 3. And then for their games this month, they wound up actually beating the Reds, and it's kind of sad, but they wound up beating the Reds 8 out of 10. Not 8 out of 10, but they wound up beating them. Yeah, they wound up beating them. They beat them 5 out of 6, then they beat them 2 out of 3. So you guys do the math. They beat them. They played them 10 times. They played them 9 times this month. They wound up winning 8 games over them this month. So, that's where you have it at. Okay, because they played 9 games this month. They took the first 5 out of 6. Then they took another 2. So they wind up taking 6. They wound up taking 7 out of the 9 games of the series. So, yeah, they're going to have to get this thing together, and they're going to have to get this thing together fast when it comes to playing the Brewers. The Brewers have their number at this point. And when you look at the stats right now, when we finish up that series, it's crazy because the Brewers are still only a game and a half up over the Reds. And it seems like they can only dominate the Reds, but everybody else they have some issues with. And then you have the Cubs who are on the back nine trying to catch them as well, too. But I just wanted to run that to you guys that they went ahead and won that game today, 3-0. I'm kind of mad because we had the Reds in the series to win the series this week, and they wind up flopping out in one of the more important series of the season. Now, we have the Mets and the Yankees today. Now, the Mets coming in here 47-53. The Yankees, as I already said, 53-48. But I heard somebody talking about the Yankees today, like it's over for them. They're last place. Woo. Nobody it's not over for anybody because they still have a better record than the team in the Central. So they are in a position where if they can just reel off 10 in a row, they're back in the playoffs. And that's where it gets really funny at. The Yankees and Red Sox are probably at the most dangerous point of any time they've ever been at with the way that this season has been going for them. And the Yankees are in a game today, though, that it seems like you're running out of time. Let's keep it real. You're kind of running out of time when it comes to making the playoffs. And do you have assets that you want to get rid of? That's the question. Do the Yankees feel like they're going to make the playoffs? That's everybody's question right now. I think the Yankees do feel they can make the playoffs, but this week will be a telling story if they can possibly do it. Because I can see this. If the Yankees wind up losing this game tonight against the Mets and losing the series over the weekend, then they're probably going to be looking at moving some guys. Okay, let's keep it real because they got till Monday. They got until Monday till about, I would say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time, 5 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. So that would be 2 o'clock Pacific time. So they got about 5 more days to figure out if they want to keep some of these players. And I truly do think that if they do lose some of these games this week, they will think about moving guys. Because think about it. The Yankees could collect some good assets for the farm or some ready-made farm players at this point. And that's exactly what the Yankees need. The Mets, on the other hand, the Mets already said that they're in a Hail Mary situation. They're trying to snatch that final playoff spot that is kind of, in a sense, that's still very doable. But you got to start getting on the good foot, and you got to start playing much, much better baseball. And right now, the Mets just aren't doing that. The Mets are just really inconsistent. Like when it comes down to Verlander and Scherzer and all those guys, they're getting things done. But when it comes down to, say, somebody like, damn, where's that wire at? When it comes down to, that was silly. I'm sorry. I'm watching a horse race at the same time, too. I had this one horse, Henry's World, 3-1. This horse literally did all the work and still let the favorite come and beat him. Just absolutely sickening, dude. This is what happens in the world of horse racing. That's all I can say. But back to what I was saying, the Mets aren't really good up top. And I think that Verlander's already said that he's not going to waive his no trade clause. And I know Scherzer's not going to do that either. I think that they're content on staying in New York because they like playing in New York. So pretty much they're stuck. And they're another situation. If they don't do anything this week, then they'll probably be moving guys as well too. And who's somebody that they can move and get some assets for that's not valuable going into their future? You know what I mean? But all in all, when you look at the game, I say tonight, I think the Yankees do win this game by 2 or more runs. I like them with the plus. They get a plus 140 on the 1.5 run line. So that's what I'm rocking with tonight. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We got the Rangers and the Astros in a very, very important game tonight with the Rangers now only a half a game ahead of the Astros. And I told you guys the Astros were coming. The Astros were coming like Jason Voorhees. It didn't matter what the Rangers did. They were coming. First you had to get the Angels out the way because you were always going to get them out the way because One of them was getting hurt, Trout or Ohtani. It didn't matter. One of them was getting hurt because that's just how it always works with the Angels. And now you got a team, and actually they're a game back. You got both these teams have been winning, though. They've been doing really good this month. But Houston has got their mojo back. They've won their last 7 out of 10. And they've had a good month where they pieced together a 4-game win streak, a 3-game win streak. You know, for every time they lose, they get multiple wins back in a row. So they've been good this month. The Rangers, and they're taking care of their business against the Rangers, something that they haven't done pretty much all year. They've actually wound up and won the last 4 out of 5 against the Rangers. So tonight they're shooting to go 5 out of 6 against the Rangers. This is great for them because it puts them right in line to get this division lead by the end of the weekend if they can go ahead and sweep this series. The Astros are in place right now to really get back to where we are normally used to them at. And thank you for that stat. We got Alvarez coming off the DL today as well, too. So danger in Arlington right now. You got the Astros on the way. You know what I mean? Go ahead, go. You know what I mean? So pretty much you have a very, very, very fun game tonight. And I truly do feel like what happens here, you have a very intense spot that you're dealing with. And I think that when it comes down to it, it's going to be nerves in this game, big nerves. And I just really think that you have to go with the over 8.5. I feel like we're going to be hitting a little bit tonight as well, too. So I love the over 8.5. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And we move from there. We have the Battle of the Bay going on in San Francisco tonight at the is it still AT&T Park? I know it used to be called SBC Park. Now it's called AT&T Park or whatever. But the A's 28-75. I've never seen a team this trash at this point during a season. And you know, the Angels, the A's have probably put together the most 15-game losing streaks you will ever see in a baseball team. Giants 55-47, ascending to trying to lock down that playoff spot with the and chasing the Dodgers as well too. At this point right now, the Giants find themselves back in third place, but they're deadlocked with the Diamondbacks, and they're only 4 games behind the Dodgers. So this is a game that is somewhat of a must-win situation for them tonight, so they can keep pace and so they can keep themselves ahead of oncoming Philly team. And you also have to remember Miami is a team that is keeps putting it together. They're a team that starts struggling and then they start playing well. It's kind of been their whole season. Arias has been struggling a little bit though. With him, he's the engine that makes that team go somewhat this year. But you have pretty much a deadlock for the wild card spots with Arizona and San Francisco both being 55-47. You got Cincinnati, who's 56-48 at the moment. So, you know, that's a very strenuous race. But at the same time, San Francisco's lost their last 6 out of 10. Arizona's lost their last 7 out of 10. And as I keep saying, you got teams like Philadelphia who now kind of sizzled off just a little bit. And then here come the Cubs. The Cubs are not that far behind. But all in all, this game tonight is symbolic because now the Giants have joined the A's fans in protesting keeping the team in the Bay Area. And they needed that the other night so they could show the solidarity that is between them and the Giants, and that they don't want their buddies from across the bridge to leave. And pretty much this is a big statement for the MLB, and I think that the MLB does need to really look at a situation to where they have to ask the owner to sell the team. I feel that's the best way of doing this thing, because if you're going to not let Pete Rose in for gambling in baseball, then why the hell would you put a team in Las Vegas? See, it's already bad enough that you got sports books at the stadiums now. gonna be really awful when you're sitting over there and say there's some bookie that has a guy lined up to blow a game that night. I know it just seems like that wouldn't happen, but you never know. It's Vegas, it's baseball. There's certain things you can't catch. But that's for another show and for another day. But with this, I'm going to go ahead and take the A's as my dog bet of the day at plus 195. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And we move forward from there. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. When I get back, we're going to jump into the Talking Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Night Quiz. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. Let's go ahead and jump into Talking Tickets up first. We have our WNBA Wednesday bets. We got one game in the WNBA tonight. It's going to be the Mystics and the Lynx. So we have plus 3.5 tonight for the Mystics, who are the road team in this spot. Also, I'm going to go ahead with the Mystics money line plus 140 first half, and then we have the over 42 first quarter. And this is going to be our 3 bets tonight in this WNBA featured game tonight because it's the only game tonight, so it's in the spotlight. And then we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about the primetime pick 4, 24-1. Our first game starting in about an hour, and that's going to be the Orioles and the Phillies. They're going to be closing out their series. I like the under 9.5 here between those two teams. And then we have the Yankees, as I said, they're plus 150. I had them at plus 140, but they're actually plus 150 when I re-look at the list, and pretty much 1.5 to the Yankees plus 150. And then we also have the over 8.5 Rangers and Astros. And then we wrap it up with the dog bet of the day, the A's money line plus 195. And that's going to be a 24-1 ticket for your 4-teamer. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we move forward from there. So with that, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in today. You guys are the absolute best. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. And I'll be back tomorrow. I should be on early with Jeff, but we'll see because they're having some humidity issues and things like that over in Cape Cod. So the internet's kind of tripping where he's at. So he wants to, but it seems to be a go for that situation tomorrow. And then I do have our show tomorrow at 1 o'clock as well, 2:12 or 1 o'clock, either or. And then we have the Mike Abadir show at 4 o'clock as well, too. So it should be a lot of fun tomorrow. 3 different shows, talking a whole lot of sports. So you guys make sure to tune in for all of them. But I'll make sure I put all the listings down for them as well, too. So with that, this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now